When two black heroes are meeting in the exact same comic made by the same creator, that's when you know it's going to be an awesome book. Now available on Lulu, John Haynes at Death's Door. The man who rules the world takes on the Greek god of death in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes comic book. Get your copy of the first John Haynes comic at lulu.com today. Kevin Grevioux, the creator of Marvel Comics' Blue Marvel and the Underworld movie franchise, sent me several of his comics to take a look at. And he sent me his book Psycho List, which I will be reviewing in an upcoming video, and he sent me the Bass Reeves comic, which I've already reviewed, which is a fantastic comic that I highly recommend you go out here and get. And he also sent me his first book of Darkstorm, the Conqueror. Now, Darkstorm is an absolutely fantastic book, and I'd have to say it's one of the best comics of 2023. And as I was reading Darkstorm the Conqueror, it really reminded me of what I was doing in my two previous John Haynes books, John Haynes at Death's Door and John Haynes Godbreaker, where I was talking about the theme of black men taking power. That is a major theme in Darkstorm that I really like seeing, because we rarely get to see a story explore the whole concept of black men and power. And this was one of the things I loved about this comic, in addition to the absolutely fantastic art, which really reminds me a lot of Walt Simonson's art on his legendary Thor run. And as I was reading Darkstorm, it was just again, a very immersive book that takes you into this world of Kevin Gage, a hero who was a part of a Darkstorm military unit. And as he was the sole survivor of a event that took all of the members of his military team, he was given these incredible superpowers and became the hero Darkstorm. And the hero Darkstorm is not somebody who is accepted by the superhero community. And one of the reasons I believe that he's not accepted by the superhero community is because of the mindset that he has as a black man. Now, one of the things that we really don't see explored in a lot of comics is the whole idea of a black man taking power over himself, and that is a major theme in Darkstorm that leads to him having conflict not with supervillains, but with superheroes overall. And that is shown to us as we see Darkstorm being confronted by a legion of the most powerful superheroes. And what I like is on the second page is how on the third page we see this whole inner conflict between Kevin Gage and his previous life as a member of the military. This panel here is one of the ones that resonated with me, because we see how human Kevin still is. Even though he's got these incredible powers, he's still a person dealing with all of the struggles and the trauma that he endured as being a member of our military. I mean, a lot of people think, oh, you go through these tours and you just come back the same. No, you do go through changes because of all the horrors that you've seen. And that still has an impact on the Kevin Gage character, even as he's got these great powers as Darkstorm. And again, this is a great contrast for the character as related to his incredible power, that he's still struggling with all of these issues as related to his humanity. And this is one of the things that just really brought me into the book within just 3 pages of the book. And I really like the setup because, again, it asks the critical question, who is this main character? And gives us into the picture, of what he wants, which is to just be a hero. And we start to care because we see him facing these incredibly powerful foes. And as he's facing these incredibly powerful foes, we see that he's dealing with the struggles that many black men deal with in society. And that is one of the things I've always loved about Kevin's writing, from Adam the Blue Marvel to Darkstorm right now, and even Bass Reeves. He shows us black men being heroes and shows us the issues that black men have to deal with as related to the struggles of being a black superhero. And this is something that he shows here where he's taken on Thor, which again, takes me back to John Haynes, Godbreaker. I mean, this page with Thor takes me to John Haynes, Godbreaker, and his confrontation with Thor, and seeing him taking on again these heroes as he's still dealing with his struggles. This is what made me this book resonate with me. And I really liked everything about how this character just presents the whole struggles of a black man and a black man having power, because one of the things people don't want to explore is how white supremacy out here doesn't really like seeing images of black men taking actual power. Yes, they will present you with black superheroes like a Luke Cage or a Falcon or an Icon, and these characters, they will go out here and they'll be heroes that try to fit into a white world. But when you start create heroes who want to go out here and show how they're going to take power, like Kevin does here with Darkstorm, and what I do with John Haynes at Death's Door, where I show John Haynes taking on Thanatos, or I show John Haynes taking on Thor. When you start to show a black man starting to go out here and look to take actual power, where he starts making decisions for himself, this is something that people start to have an issue with. And this was something that I saw way back as far as Luke Cage season 3, where Chio Hodari Coker was looking to make Luke Cage into the Power Man. And a lot of people were sitting there saying that Luke Cage as the Power Man was a bad guy. But as somebody who has written stories about black men who have power and want to take actual power, like I did in my novel The Temptation of John Haynes, I looked at Luke Cage when he was becoming the Power Man as the next level of black empowerment. And what Chio Coker was trying to say when he made Luke Cage the Power Man was that black people needed to go out here and take their power and take control over their communities. And the mainstream white society was going to see that black character as a bad guy because he was looking to do what everybody else would do, and that is take power and empower themselves. And that's what the Kevin Gage Darkstorm character does over the course of this book. He's looking to take power as a black man, and that's got a lot of people who are a part of the government. They are not really happy with him, as shown here in these beautifully done pages. Again, this art really reminds me of Walt Simonson's Thor, and gives me it feels just as epic as the Simonson Thor run. I mean, everything here is about showing how people are afraid of a black man having incredible power, and they're afraid of a black man having that kind of power because they fear that if a black man takes power, they fear that they will not be able to control him. They fear they will not be able to go out here and have complete control over who he is, and they cannot be able to maintain their system of white supremacy, which is all based on a lie, because if a black man takes true power, this is the thing that terrifies and scares them, that they won't be able to control that black man, and that is the real issue they have with the Darkstorm character all throughout this book, as they're making their grand plans as related to trying to take down Darkstorm. Now, Darkstorm's character, I really like a lot of the interactions he has with people. I mean, even though he's got incredible power, he's still struggling with all of the issues he's had as related to his experience in the military. But he also has a softer side, which is shown later on in the book as he's with either his sister or his girlfriend. I was hoping that they would give him a love interest to give him a little bit more balance and a little bit more depth. That means I would like to see that with this character, because I have John Haynes with esteem, and I always like to see black men and black women together. But what I really liked are the fun moments where we got Adam and Darkstorm meeting with each other, and I thought that this was one of the coolest moments in the book. I mean, this was a cool moment in the book, and it's one that really just made my day, just seeing these two black men coming and working together. I mean, this is what really just made my day with this book. I mean, this was the moment that made me smile, seeing black men working together, and it also made me smile when I saw him going to his base and then them hanging out together. I mean, I like that moment as related to Darkstorm. I don't want to give away too much of this book because Kevin put in so much great work, but there was this series of panels here I just absolutely love because, again, fun slice of life moment. Even though he's got this incredible power generator, they're just hanging out and chilling, and it's just a nice moment away from all of the whole issues that everything is going on here. And again, this was a moment that again made me smile about this book, and just showed me how Darkstorm as a hero was still a person, and how his friend basically was, or his sister, I don't know, wants him to have a little bit of a life. And that's one of the things John Haynes actually deals with in many of the books in the John Haynes series. And it was something I could relate to with Darkstorm, because I write about this with John Haynes all the time. And I write about it because when you're a black man, you're just under a lot of pressure, and you just feel like you have to be on all the time. I mean, that's something every black man has to deal with. So when I looked at Darkstorm, it really resonated with me and made me think of John Haynes and all the things he deals with as the CEO of Morris Phillips, as he deals with the members of Lucifer's Legion, and that he is very similar to Kevin Gage. And you're always having to be on, because as a black man, you always have to watch your back, and you always have to look out for yourself, because nobody's looking out for you, and how you're basically having a target on your back. So there was so much I loved about this book, because Darkstorm the Conqueror basically showed me what everything I was been writing about for years with John Haynes, about black men having power and having great power, and how when you have great power as a black man, you are basically out here in the world, not to go out here and be a part of the world system, but to go out here and do what's right. And that's another thing that really resonated with me with the Darkstorm comic, is that he's not out here looking to be a superhero to get acceptance of white people or the world. He's out here looking to do what's right. And again, that really resonated with me, because that's one of the themes that I explore in many John Haynes series books, that he is looking to do the work of God and only looking to go out here and do the work of his Lord. I mean, that's something that I presented in Godbreaker and talked about extensively as related to his confrontation with Thor. And that's what made me think about his confrontation earlier in the Darkstorm book 1. I mean, it's all about him doing what is right. And again, what is right is more important than getting social acceptance, because that's something that Christ was doing when he sacrificed his life. I mean, he was looking to do what was right to pay the sin debts of all humanity. He was not looking to get accepted by people like the Pharisees or the Sadducees during the Roman Empire. And that's where I get a lot of metaphors and connections to the Darkstorm book. I mean, it's sort of like a social commentary where you're seeing a character who's looking to, again, be Christ-like and do what is right, and not think about things as related to trying to gain social acceptance, like many of the very heroes he is confronted with in the beginning of the story. Because in the beginning of the story, he's confronted by all of these different heroes with all of these great powers, but it looks like his great power is his great character. And again, we see this confrontation with this kind of character who is meant to be like Icon. I mean, this character right here. And again, he's supposed to be a shape-shifting alien who looks like a black guy. And again, that's the contrast between a character created who is a black man who understands his role as a man in God's order, and an alien from another planet. He understands that his power is to take power and use it responsibly, and again, looking to do what is right, even when he's faced by some of the greatest and most powerful characters out here. I mean, that's what I liked about this opening sequence. Again, it opens up showing us that this is about a black man going out here to take power. And again, taking power is something that many black people are afraid to do, because a lot of black people have been raised to think that somebody's going to give them power, but power isn't given, like Professor Black Truth has talked about in many of his videos. Power is taken. And again, the Darkstorm character looking to do what is right is taking power, and this is something that scares a lot of people. And it's something I'm going to go, even in my own work, in depth with John Haynes' Illuminati. I'm going in depth on the whole idea of, again, what happens when a black man takes power. And that's something that I really liked about Darkstorm, is that Kevin Grevioux just delves and digs deeper as related to stories with black characters. That's one of the things I like about reading his work, such as Adam, the Blue Marvel, which I recommend you definitely get. I mean, this showed us what happens with black characters as related to the racism that nobody talked about that went on with Marvel characters in the Marvel Universe, and showed us why we didn't really see a black hero being presented in the Marvel Universe. And it was something that, again, really mirrored what I put in my own ISIS series book, Imitation of Life, about how black people with power had to move during the dark days of Jim Crow. And Darkstorm really reminds me, again, of everything that I write about in John Haynes, about black men and power. And again, it's more than a story about a hero. It's a hero who is out here doing what's right, willing to do what is best. And I'm hoping that Darkstorm Comics and Kevin Grevioux have great success. I mean, everything in this book was absolutely fantastic. Everything in here was absolutely well done. And I'm hoping that he's able to go out here and build his Darkstorm universe and build his whole Darkstorm Comics brand and take it to the next level, because he's got a lot of great concepts here in the back. And again, I definitely look at all of these books, and I definitely see a lot of very interesting concepts I would like to just take a greater look at. And again, he's really done a great job with this brand. And this Darkstorm comic, again, is absolutely fantastic. And I highly recommend you pick up book 1 of Darkstorm and check out the Darkstorm character. You're definitely going to be in for a fantastic reading experience, and I know you're definitely going to enjoy this comic. So if you want to pick up the Darkstorm's book 1, you can pick it up on darkstormcomics.com. And if you want to pick up the latest John Haynes series books, John Haynes Godbreaker and John Haynes at Death's Door, and the John Haynes at Death, you can find these books in the John Haynes series on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. And you can find the John Haynes comic, John Haynes at Death's Door, on Lulu.com. So if you want to help me be able to make the next comic on the SJS Direct imprint, and I really want to do an ISIS series comic or a new John Haynes comic, you guys can send me a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App. And that's how I go out here and pay artists like Antonio Balderi to do the John Haynes comics, or pay artists like Mike Williams to do the covers for books like John Haynes at Death's Door and John Haynes Godbreaker, and helps me be able to keep the SJS Direct imprint going and be able to pay for the internet and do live streams. So your support is greatly appreciated and is greatly used. So I want to thank everybody for checking out this review. That's all I have to say for this comic review. You guys can go out here, comment, rate, and subscribe, and head over to darkstormcomics.com and pick up one of the best comics of 2023. Coming to paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, Godbreaker. The man who rules the world takes on the Asgardian god of thunder in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes series adventure. Pre-order your copy of John Haynes, Godbreaker at online booksellers today. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, 1987. Learn lessons about life and teenage love in the 1980s in this coming-of-age John Haynes story. Get your copy of John Haynes 1987 in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.